If you're excited for the home opener, let me hear you make some noise. Now it's a party, baby. For those of you that don't know, my name is Arthur Moats, retired linebacker of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I will be your host for this morning's interview. And I'm excited about the guy I get to talk to today. Because this guy to my right came into the NFL in the 1969 NFL Draft when the Pittsburgh Steelers selected him in the 3rd round with the 56th overall selection out of Oklahoma State University. And once he came into the league, he enjoyed a 13-year career all here with black and gold, where he was an all-pro, and he went on to win not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Super Bowl championships. So please, Steelers Nation, give me a warm Pittsburgh welcome for Steelers Hall of Honor member, the legendary number 55, Jon Kolb. Jon.
Hello.
We are here. Season opener, home opener, nothing like it. We obviously know the excitement around it, and the energy is in the building. Steelers Nation is bringing it. But talk about, as a player, when you were coming into the season and you were having that home opener, how would you handle some of the feelings and some of the emotions leading up into a game like that?
Yeah, I remember my home opener as a rookie. We opened up, and I got to play, I don't know, 160 games or something. But my rookie year, we opened up with Detroit. At that time, it was in Pitt Stadium over at University of Pittsburgh. And we beat Detroit. And then lost 13 in a row, by the way. And but the home opener, like you say, that is, you can't fake goosebumps.
Absolutely.
You can fake a lot of stuff, but that's still a goosebump thing, yeah.
No, without a doubt. Now, as I said in the intro, you were drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but could you talk about your NFL draft story and how that came about, and more importantly, did you expect to come to Pittsburgh?
No. I did not think I was coming to Pittsburgh. When I was playing, postseason games were a big deal. They had games where the college all-stars would play. We played the Jets, so it was my first professional game. We played North-South games, Senior Bowl. They don't have those games anymore. But so I was being scouted, and the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, anybody? Okay. Dallas Cowboys, they were at every practice. They came, they gave you had to run, you had to jump, you had to take psychological tests. I never met a single Pittsburgh Steeler personnel. And the day before the draft, I got a letter that said, dear player, from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And people would say, where do you think you're going? And I'd go, all I know is I won't be going to Pittsburgh. And so I didn't know that the draft I thought it took about 15 minutes, like choosing up sides in the backyard. And so by like 11 o'clock, when I didn't get a phone call, I thought, I didn't get drafted. And a little bit later, somebody I'd never heard of named Mr. Rooney calls me. Mr. Rooney. I don't know if you all ever heard Mr. Rooney. Mr. Rooney talk like this. Jon. My name's only got 3 letters in it. It took Mr. Rooney 10 minutes to say my name. I said, yes, sir, who is this? And he said, it's R. Rooney Sr. I didn't know who that was. And I said, right. He said, the Pittsburgh Steelers have just drafted you. And I went, right. And then he said to me, I will never forget, he said, are you excited to come to Pittsburgh? And I said, no. I thought somebody's grandpa was putting him up to this. And so that night, I thought I didn't get drafted because nobody else called. And the next day in the Daily Oklahoman, I opened up the paper. Eddie Hidden going to the Baltimore Colts from Oklahoma. Terry Brown, my roommate, going to Minneapolis. The Vikings. Jon Kolb going to Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh. I called Mr. Rooney up on Monday morning. I was in tears. I'm going, Mr. Rooney, I'm sorry. And he thought it was funny. But here's the thing. When they picked me up at the airport, at the Pittsburgh airport, and took me to St. Vincent College, you know who was waiting to shake my hand? Mr. Rooney. Mr. Rooney was the first person that said hi to me in Pittsburgh. I'll never forget that.
There. Love that. Now, as I said in the intro, you were a part of 4 Super Bowl championship teams right here in Pittsburgh, being a part of that Super Bowl 9, 10, 13, and 14 teams. Talk about during that time frame. What sticks out to you the most about each of those particular games? And if you had a favorite memory about each of them?
Boy, yeah, the first one we played the Vikings. Remember I just said my roommate, my college roommate, was playing for the Vikings? I am playing against my college roommate. He's the best man in my wedding. And we played in New Orleans. And Bud Grant, the Viking coach, would not let the Vikings talk to us. Chuck Noll, our coach, anybody remember Chuck Noll? He didn't want us talking to the Vikings. We had to sneak off. I met him down on Bourbon Street for dinner with his parents, and we had to sneak off so we could talk to each other. And I remember him saying, Ed White, their starting guard. See, I thought we should be friends. He was trying to get into my head. He said, did you know that Ed White can take a New Orleans phone book and tear it in half? New Orleans phone book's that thick. And I said, no, there's a trick to it. You curl it up and then you do it. No. And so I went back to the room. This is true. I'm not making this up. And I was sitting there on the bed. On the other bed, my roommate, Sam Davis, had left the New Orleans phone book on the bed. And I looked at it, and it was laughing at me. And so finally, Jack Lambert walks in the room. He said, what are you looking at? And I said, did you know that Ed White can take that phone book and rip it in half? What do you think he's going to do to your neck? And Jack Lambert picks it up. He got that long blonde hair. You know what happened? Nothing. Didn't tear it. My roommate came in. He tried it. Couldn't tear it. Terry Bradshaw couldn't tear it. So finally they said, John, you got to try and tear this phone. This is true. You got to tear this story, this book. So they've been trying to rip it like this. I did it like if you break a stick, and I went, and it ripped. The New Orleans phone book ripped. But we only had one phone book in the room. So Jack Lambert and Sam Davis run out of the room looking for another phone book. They bumped into each other. Jack went into his room. He came out in the hallway with a phone book, ripped it in half. Sam Davis went down to Larry Brown's book. Larry said, what are you doing? Said, ripping up phone books. Ripped it in half. By the time we played the football game, there was not a phone book left in the whole hotel. And we knew we were going to win the game. You know why? They only had one guy on their team that could tear up phone books. We had a whole team full of guys that could tear up phone books.
Let's go. I love that. And it's a perfect lead into my next question, because in the midst of you being able to rip phone books, we also know in 1978 and in 1979, you decided to show that you were not just a strong man, but you were one of the world's strongest men as you competed in the World's Strongest Man competition. So talk about what that experience was like, and what was the inspiration behind wanting to compete in the World's Strongest Man competition?
Well, everybody here, I see all these Pittsburgh jerseys. Okay, if I say number 12, who's that? Okay, who wore 32? All right, we're doing pretty good. Who wore 33? Huh?
I'm here, Merle over here. Yeah.
Frenchie. Fuqua. Okay, what was Larry Brown's number? No, 70. So you don't know the lineman, right? So nobody knows the lineman. So when I got invited to go to the World's Strongest Man contest, you know, I thought, oh, here's a chance to do something. The problem was you had to go out there in these little wrestling singlets, you know, and the first event was a bar bend. They gave you a bar, and you had to bend it. If you bend it, they gave you a little bigger bar. We went in alphabetical order. Mr. Universe that year was named Dave Johns. If you know your alphabet, J.K. So it's okay to stand here with Arthur Moats. This is not too embarrassing. But if you're standing next to Mr. Universe with 23-inch arms, that's not, you know. So they gave us this bar, and I'm praying, Lord, if I can just bend this bar, I will never bother you again. Never, I'll never bother you again. And so you have 30 seconds to bend the bar. So they said, go, you could put it over your head, and I went. It was like a clothes hanger. I thought they gave me a phony bar. And I'm, thank you, Lord, okay, I'll never bother you again. And then I hear this noise. And it's Dave Johns. And he's going, ah.
Acrisure Stadium.
Arthur, he looked so good not bending the bar. He looked really good, but the bar never bent. And I'm going, Dave, you only got 10 seconds. You might want to bend that bar now. And he goes, I'm trying. And he never bent the bar. But they gave us another bar, and I bent that one. And they gave us another bar, and I bent that one. And the last I weighed 258. Cleve Dean was the world arm wrestling champion. He weighed 400 pounds. And the other guy was a big weightlifter. He weighed 350. And they bent it about that far. I bent it about that far. And I won it.
Let's go. Now, since your playing days have ended, you've been on to continue to do impactful things off the field. And you started a foundation called Adventures in Training with a Purpose, or more commonly known as ATP. If you could, talk about the inspiration behind it and some of the work that you're currently doing now.
Yeah, this is very important to me. I was blessed. I grew up in Oklahoma, Vietnam era. My high school quarterback was killed in Vietnam. Our team manager was killed in Vietnam. The kid that played guard next to me, he was shot in the back, got well, went back over there, got shot again. Alan Thomas, our halfback. Did you know 22 veterans every day take their own life? Y'all know that? Alan Thomas took his own life. Our quarterback, his name's on the Vietnam Wall. Our team manager, his name's on the Vietnam Wall. They don't put Alan Thomas's name on the wall. Why? Because he took his own life. He died in Vietnam just like the rest of them did. 22 veterans every day take their own life. Do you hear about it? We don't hear about it. So our group, Adventures in Training with a Purpose, we work with veterans. Right now, my son is climbing a mountain with a group of veterans. So people say, are you doing therapy? No, and I didn't go to Pittsburgh Steelers therapy camp either.
Hey now.
We went to training camp, right? I didn't go to basic therapy at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I went to basic training. So we're training for a purpose, and then we go climb mountains, or we go whitewater kayaking, or we ride a bicycle down a trail. So you can check it out. I appreciate that question, because I'll bet you there's some veterans here. Veterans, any veterans? Hold up your hand. There we go. Okay, there's some veterans. And so those are, yeah. So that's what we do. And I think, Arthur, as you know, I don't want to do your job. You guys want to sit up here and do this on purpose? I don't want to sit up here. I'm doing this because I like him, but I don't like to do this. But most players need to find something they can do that's a challenge. And helping these veterans, that's the biggest thing I've ever done. So check us out. Thank you.
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. Now, during your time here, you also played for a legendary coach. I'm talking about none other than the Hall of Famer, Chuck Noll. Talk to me. What was that like having him as your coach? And if you have a favorite moment or story from your time with him.
You guys are going to think this is rehearsed. So my rookie year, Arthur, my position was L1 on the kickoff.
All right, okay.
Okay? I was drafted as a center. Anybody old enough to remember Ray Mansfield? Okay. So the next year, they moved me to tackle. I went through the first year, Chuck Noll never talked to me. My second year, it's in training camp. I've been here a year, and Chuck has never talked to me. So, are you guys aware that when you're cut in training camp, they send a little boy and he knocks on your door in between practice and he says, Coach Noll wants to see you, bring your playbook. That's bad. That means you're cut. And you got to pick up your playbook and you got to walk down and the coach is going to tell you you're cut. And your dream, ever since you were this guy's size, is gone. You're cut. And so it's the third game of the exhibition season. And I'm having a good practice. And it's in between two-a-days. I just finished morning practice. So I'm laying on my bed and I'm thinking, just keep it up. Just keep it up. Keep it up. And the little kid knocks on the door and says, Coach Noll wants to see you. I'm cut. I'm cut. So I grab my playbook and I walk out the room and I'm angry and I'm cut. So what I got to lose? Our playbooks are that thick, remember? I took my playbook and I threw it as hard as I could against the back wall at St. Vincent College. It's brick. and it busted open. 300 pages flew all over the place. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's going to spend a long time putting that back together. So I go down, I'm knocking on Chuck's door. He's never talked to me in a year. And it's like the movies. He's got his back to me. And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, Jon, come in." Well, now I'm double mad. There's a word that starts with a P. That was what I was. I'm mad because you're going to cut me, but you're going to be nice. Don't, And so this is the truth. He has these pictures. And they're wildlife pictures, Dr. Baker. And he's been to Florida at the Everglades. And he took these pictures. This is Chuck Noll. He took these pictures of alligators. So he's showing me alligator pictures. And he's explaining the difference between an alligator and a crocodile. Only Chuck Noll would know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile. And then he shows me a picture of these woodpeckers. And he's telling me, Dr. Baker, about an pileated woodpecker. And I'm standing there, and I'm looking at woodpecker pictures and alligator pictures, thinking I'm cut. And then I'm standing there like this. And he looks up at me and he goes, "Well, that's all I wanted. I heard you like wildlife, and I thought I would show you these pictures." So the first time Chuck Noll ever talked to me was to show me pictures of alligators and woodpeckers.
I love it, man. Now, whatever happened to the playbook?
What happened to what?
Whatever happened to the playbook?
Oh, I didn't think. So I walk back to my room and I'm going, "I'm not cut, I'm not cut, I'm not cut." And I walked in the room and there were 300 pages on the floor. I got a meeting in 2 minutes. You have to bring your playbook to the meeting. So I'm bent over and I'm picking up all these pictures and all these pages. And I walk in the meeting like this with the playbook. And the coach says, "Okay, we're going to put in a new play today. 35 special." All right, turn to your 35 special in your playbook. I'm like, pictures going everywhere. I can't find 35 special. I can't find anything.
Let's go. All right. I'm glad that he didn't cut you that day, though, all right? And I'm sure Steelers Nation is happy as well. Now, the final question that I have for you today. We know throughout your career, you made a ton of plays. You were on the field for a ton of just magnificent plays. But throughout your career, what was your favorite play that you were a part of?
Oh, my gosh. I think, as you know, we got to play in 4 Super Bowls. And so we played in 2. We beat Minnesota, we beat Dallas. And then we lost to Miami Dolphins. And then the Miami Dolphins played Dallas, and Dallas won the Super Bowl twice in between that. And in between that, Dallas had they had a defensive end named Harvey Martin, All-Pro, Hall of Fame, and they had a defensive tackle named Randy White. And so my roommate, Sam Davis, and I are watching. Do y'all remember the Johnny Carson show? Anybody? So we're watching the Johnny Carson show 2 nights before the Super Bowl. And they had recorded Harvey Martin and Randy White. And they're asking him, "Well, Harvey, you were the MVP last year. Are you going to repeat against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jon Kolb?" "Absolutely, I'm going to mop the floor up with him." From one side down the other. That's what he said. Check it out. Watch the game film. Watch the game film.
Okay.
No sacks. No sacks.
Absolutely love that. Well, that will conclude our interview. But once again, please give another round of applause to Jon Kolb. And let's get loud and cheer on the Steelers to a victory today. Thank you again.